The sun was setting behind the skyline of Chicago, painting the glass towers gold. Inside a tall marble building, Richard Hale, a self-made millionaire, leaned back in his office chair. He had just closed another deal, another success to add to his endless list of achievements. The world called him lucky, brilliant, unstoppable. But there was one thing the world didn't know. Every evening, when he came home, his heart grew heavy, because his little daughter Lily had stopped greeting him. She was only 6. Bright eyes, curly brown hair, a smile that once melted every stress he carried. But for the past month, she would stand quietly in the corner of her room, facing the wall. Not saying a word. Not looking up. Just standing there. Richard's wife, Amanda, tried to explain. She's been acting strange lately. Maybe she's just shy, maybe she misses you. But he didn't believe it. He thought she was being stubborn, perhaps spoiled. After all, he gave her everything, toys, clothes, even a pony at their country home. What more could she want? One night, after another late business dinner, he returned home and noticed something new. Lily's pink dress was dirty, covered in soil. Her small hands were scratched. And there were broken plates in the garden sink. Amanda stood nearby, shouting at her, her voice full of frustration. Lily stood still, tears running down her face. Richard's voice echoed through the air, "Amanda! Stop!" But Amanda turned, her eyes red with anger. She broke them again, "Richard. Every day she sneaks out here, trying to wash dishes. She's just a child. Why is she doing this?" Lily said nothing. She simply whispered, "Please, don't punish me." Those words hit him harder than any business loss ever could. He felt something inside him crumble. That night, while everyone slept, Richard stood by his daughter's door. He watched her small figure curled up in bed, clutching a ragged teddy bear. And he whispered to himself, "What are you trying to tell me, my little one?" The next morning, he decided to find out. He followed her quietly from a distance. Instead of watching cartoons or playing, Lily tiptoed outside with a small bucket and sponge. She washed dishes that weren't even hers. Then, she walked toward the park, a big city park filled with morning joggers and the sound of car horns in the distance. She stopped beside an old woman sitting alone on a bench, her gray hair blowing in the wind. Lily smiled and handed her a lunchbox. "I made this for you," she said softly. The woman's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Angel," she whispered. "You remind me of my granddaughter." Richard stood frozen behind a tree, watching the scene. In that single moment, he realized his daughter was not broken. She was trying to fix something the world had lost. Kindness. That evening, Richard couldn't hold his curiosity anymore. When Lily finished dinner and quietly went to her room, he followed her. She faced the wall again, like every night. But this time, he noticed something faint on the wallpaper, little drawings in crayon. He stepped closer. There were pictures of people smiling, people hugging, people helping each other. In the middle of them all, a small sketch of a man holding a gift box. It was him. Underneath, Lily had written, in shaky handwriting, "Daddy will smile again." Richard's chest tightened. He knelt beside her. "Lily," he whispered, "why do you stand here every day?" She turned slowly, her eyes red but shining. Because this is where I talk to God, Daddy. I tell him that you're too busy to smile now. I tell him to help me make people happy until you have time again. Tears filled his eyes before he could stop them. He lifted her into his arms, trembling. All his wealth, all his power, none of it could buy the purity that lived inside her little heart. The next morning, Richard didn't go to the office. Instead, he took Lily for a ride in his silver Mercedes. They drove through the buzzing streets of Chicago, passing yellow taxis, honking buses, and people rushing for their trains. For the first time in years, Richard saw the city not as a business zone, but as a living story of human lives. They stopped at a bakery. Lily bought bread with the money from her piggy bank. Then they walked to a hospital nearby. In the children's ward, she handed out the bread to families waiting outside. Richard watched in silence, his heart swelling with both pride and pain. When they got back into the car, Lily looked up at him. "Daddy, do you feel lighter now?" He smiled through tears. "Yes, sweetheart. I do." That day changed him forever. He began to spend less time in boardrooms and more time in parks, in schools, in shelters. He donated without cameras, helped without noise. He started a new foundation, Lily's Light, dedicated to teaching children kindness through small acts. One weekend, they flew by helicopter to a small countryside village in Vermont, where the foundation built its first learning center. The wind blew through the green fields as Lily ran to greet a group of children. They played, laughed, painted together under the open sky. Richard stood nearby, watching her laugh freely, something he hadn't seen in months. And he whispered to himself, "This is what success really looks like." Years passed. The Lily's Light Foundation grew across cities: New York, Dallas, San Diego. Children learned that kindness was not a word, but a way of living. Richard became known not as the millionaire businessman, but as the father who changed hearts. One winter morning, as snowflakes touched the window glass, Richard found Lily in the garden again, now a teenager, still facing the wall she used to talk to. He smiled and asked, "Still talking to God, sweetheart?" She nodded. "But now I thank him, Daddy, because he listened." They stood together in silence. Behind them, Amanda joined, carrying hot cocoa. For the first time, their family felt whole, not because of money, but because of meaning. Richard turned to the camera of life. The invisible eyes of the world watching his story, and thought of the lesson he learned too late but lived long enough to share. Sometimes the smallest hands carry the greatest wisdom. Sometimes the purest hearts remind us of what we were meant to be. He looked at Lily and said, "You taught me how to live again. You are my richest gift." The camera would fade on their embrace, the soft wind rustling through the trees, a passing bus echoing in the distance, city lights flickering like stars. A story born from pain, healed by kindness. Dear viewers, if this story touched your heart, please share it. You never know whose life your kindness can change. Remember, love doesn't need a reason, it only needs a moment. Comment below. What act of kindness changed your life? We'd love to hear your stories. And if you believe the world needs more compassion, like this video, share it with your friends. And please subscribe to our channel Kindness Quest, where every story reminds us that one small act of love can build a brighter world. Because kindness is not what we give, It's what we become,